What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Jared Thompson, who is a intuitive emotional mastery coach.
Thank you. It's good to be
Yeah,
here.
it's so good to have you on. And normally I start by discussing how we met, but I want to kind of do that at the end. I kind of want to just dive right into the topics that we have.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to talk about the difference between masculine and feminine energy
Uh,
and how some of us can be more conscious and aware of it and some are not. So I'm just curious what you have that can come through to that and what your views are on it.
the difference between masculine and feminine energy. Um, well, I will just speak from my experience. What I feel that feminine means is it just how I started it off. What I feel. I feel that feminine comes from a place of, and I'm strictly speaking and not gender. I'm strictly speaking in energy. It comes from a place of nurture, feeling. Uh, it's almost like thinking of nature. Nature, if you look at like the rock bed of a river, feminine energy is the flow of the river, and
Mhm.
then masculine is the rock bed underneath the river. It's what holds the feminine, it's what holds the flow, it's what structures the flow. As simple as that. I wouldn't even want to say anything more
Yeah.
because I feel we get really in our heads about it. But that's my experience of what masculine and feminine is.
That is such a good analogy. I never thought of it like that. And that is just such a good way to explain it. Especially as humans, I feel it's a lot easier for us to understand what things are when we give it an analogy.
Yeah. Well, that's how I most of the time that's how I just tend to like put things in pictures because it's just easiest for me.
Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to get your views on that is because recently I started talking about feminine energy versus masculine energy
Mhm.
on the podcast and I brought it over to Instagram and specifically on Instagram I definitely got some people who responded in a curious way. They were just very curious about what it really was because on Instagram, I can only give what 10 seconds of a reel. It's hard to give full context. And
Yeah.
so I felt with this podcast and bringing you on and just knowing our background together, I feel like it would be such a great place and opportunity as a safe masculine, AKA you, and a safe feminine, AKA me,
Mhm.
coming together and having a conversation about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. I think it's important to be able to speak from our own experiences rather than telling other people this is what it is. Um, there's so many people out there that can say, "Hey, this is what it is. This is fact. This is truth." But yeah, this is all coming and sharing from my experience. I feel that it'll be helpful to speak from that place.
Yeah. And so I also really want to talk into and get your experience and you to share a little bit about like, have you ever maybe yourself was an unsafe masculine before you became a safe masculine? And can you kind of like talk into that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's just through a lot of conditioning from my how I was raised. I'd say I'm actually very fortunate to have, my father came out of the closet when I was in the fifth grade. My mother and my father were together, married, and then my father came out of the closet, and he came from a place of very nurturing qualities. And so I don't think it's very common to have that kind of father. So I was very lucky to have that. So I do feel that I got a lot of beautiful, safe, nurturing aspects to me as a man that helped me on my journey to become a part of like a safe masculine energy. But yeah, I mean, I've been in past relationships where like I've raised my voice to my partner, which I'm not proud of. I think that, I mean, we all raise our voices because we just want to be heard by our hearts. The that talking loudly or yelling is just because I want you to hear my heart. I want you to feel my love, and that's most of the time why it escalates. And so I'm not proud of how high I've raised my voice at times. um I've had experiences in my partnerships where I came from a very like lustful place. I feel that there's a difference between lust, and then there's a difference between actual love. And I feel like lust is coming from this very physical, I just want to just like it feels very like gluttonous. It's like you want more and more and more, rather than thinking of you and the partner as a whole. And so I've been in those places, just of lust, of ghosting. Like, I mean, I've been, and these are just coming off the top of my head. This is what I would consider to be just like an unsafe masculine, is this aspect of ghosting. And to me, ghosting, which this may be an unpopular opinion, ladies, hear this: when a man ghosts you, take that as a compliment. Because when a man ghosts you, he's actually afraid of what he sees inside your heart. He's actually afraid of actually falling in love or discovering himself in you. That's why he runs, in my
Wow.
my experience.
And I'll tell you from, my experience as a woman and having female friends and clients, a lot of us women, not all of us, but a good amount of us feel that it's a personal thing. And it's like,
Mhm,
oh, he's dating someone else, or oh, this, or oh, that.
mhm.
So it's so
Yeah.
interesting because that's how we feel and that's what we think is happening. But men and women are two completely different, made up of two completely different energies and things.
Yeah. Like, and I'll say to that, if there's really a safe masculine man that's coming into the picture, he will tell you, he will
Yeah.
let you know, hey, this is just not a match. This is not working out. But a man that's in his little boy, which I've been there. I've been through a lot of growth to get to where I am, but I've been in that space where I'm like, yeah, I don't actually want to communicate this with the other person because I'm scared that it actually might lead to something more.
Mm. Wow. So talking into the safe masculine, what would you say are, let's say three, like what are three tips, not tips, what are three things slash characteristics, signs is the word I'm looking for. What are three signs that a man is in his safe masculine?
Hmm. Three signs that he's in his safe masculine. He tells you up front if you're going into, so say you're going on some dates. um he tells you up front his intention. Like, he's very clear in his intention. And maybe for some women that might be scary, but if you're a woman that wants to be in a committed relationship, and a man, a safe masculine man, he will tell you, I am looking to be in a safe committed relationship, or I'm looking to be in a committed relationship. So stating that right out the gate brings that safety. That's one. Two, uh, if you go into relationship and this man actually wants to be with you, he actually wants to commit to you, he will tell you pretty quickly. Like, when he's personally, I think that it takes time But if a man is really into you, he's going to tell you. He's going to let you know that you're the only person that I am choosing to be with right now.
Mm,
You know, everybody has their things about dating other people, which is fine, but when it starts to get into this element of like I choose you, I feel like that's um a very safe place from a masculine perspective, is that he's not playing around. He's not, he knows what he wants and he's going to tell you what he wants. That's two. And then three, um, hmm, listening. He's very conscious and listens to what you have to say. He's actually genuinely curious about you. You'll find out real quick if you learn to know what real listening looks like. He'll repeat back to you things that he's heard you say. He'll
mm,
actually ask you if you're in this masculine feminine dynamic where you want him to be the masculine and you to be in the feminine. He's going to ask you a lot, how are you feeling? Like what are you feeling right now? And he'll like ask you questions and more questions and more questions because he just wants you to open up into that. So that's another element of safety.
wow. I totally agree. I've definitely personally I've experienced that. And I've experienced the opposite. And for me, I only really started to allow myself to experience that once I've done the inner work and the healing around certain things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, what a comment that I saw come up often on my TikTok and my Instagram was, they're not out there. Like, I can't find them. I don't know where they are. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
They're not out there because and I believe that we're all just reflections of each other. So to to re-explain that is whatever you however you take care of yourself and how you look at yourself is exactly what you're going to get on the other side.
Mm.
And the things that you need to work on are going to be the exact things that are going to show up in the relationship. And
And
so, yeah,
I was gonna say, and I feel like that can, like, even me right now, I'm like, I feel my body like wanting to like resist that in a way where it's like, I know that's the truth, but that's a hard fucking pill to swallow.
absolutely. It's like they say, like the triggers that you experience are actually it's the opening to your healing. Like
Yeah.
that's the place where the trigger is only showing up there because of a wounding. So
Wow. And
the yeah.
I was gonna say, and if like whoever, for the listener, if you can really take that away, and if that's a new perspective for you, and if you can apply that and be open to that, you can definitely grow a lot internally and in return start to attract the person that you're wanting to attract when you can really understand that topic.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oof. And, I also kind of want to flip it now, like speaking from, kind of speaking from like the men's side. And it's like, why do some men think that all women are crazy? What, like, I'm in this season of dating, right? And
Yeah,
I can kind of weed out who's from the start, like who I feel like I can have a conversation with
yeah.
and who I'm like, you know what? It's not no. And
It's no.
it's just a no. And the ones who it's a yes, sometimes they'll even give me hints like, oh, but like, wait till you're crazy. Maybe I have to wait till you're crazy comes out. Like,
Mm,
I feel like why, in my experience at least, why are guys like so, not all guys, but why are some guys so subject to assume?
Do you want me to do you want me to tell you surface level or like get to the core of it?
The core.
The core. Yeah. It's a feminine wound. It's a deep feminine wound.
And what does that mean?
Feminine wound is it really stems from the mother. It stems from because to be quite just 100, all the women that you are dating in your life are going to be representations of your mother until you start to heal the relationship you have with your mother,
Oof.
because that is the ultimate catalyst to your ultimate healing and to your soulmate. Like, bar none, that is what is going to bring you to your soulmate. When you can cut the toxic ties that you have to your mother, which is causing you to say things like, I'm dating, or like, all women are crazy. No, no, all women are not crazy. It's you that have not met the wound that is inside you from your mother, that you have not healed that relationship. Because if you don't heal that relationship, that will just keep on repeating. And you will think all women are crazy for the rest of your life.
And now can you say the same, but to a woman who might have a masculine wound and kind of break
Yeah,
that down?
100%. It's the same thing. So like with women who are experiencing like all men are chauvinist pigs, or all men are unsafe, all men are assholes, like all that it's vice versa. If you have not grown an unconditionally loving relationship with your father, and I don't, this is not to negate the people that have had a very, like, maybe you've had a very abusive relationship, maybe there was physical abuse, maybe there was sexual abuse. There needs to be like, this is deep work, ladies, like ladies and men. If you are looking for a soulmate, you have to do the work. And I use
Yeah.
the word have to. You have to do it, because if you don't, these cycles will keep repeating itself. So same thing for the father wound. When you can create that safety in your system, because ultimately what you're doing is you're reparenting yourself. You're reparenting yourself in the eyes of the safe father. Once you can heal that, you're going to get a father, a masculine figure, a father who ultimately, if this is what you want, will be the father to your children.
Yeah, like if you want that fairy tale love that you actually see on the movies, because stop fucking listening to what people are saying that's not real. It can
Mm,
be real. Like that's what they're choosing their reality to be. But it can be real when you heal the relationship that you have with that sex, meaning female, male, mother, husband, mother, father.
yeah, amen to that. It's they're,
And
yeah.
just real quick before we move forward, because I know not all of us are fortunate to have our parents around, is there a way to heal the relationship with your mother and father if they're not physically here?
100%. I'll share this, and whatever you feel called, Jessica, if you want to keep this in or not, because I know for some people this can be triggering, but
So trigger
I'm
warning, trigger warning. If I
yeah,
keep it, if I keep this in.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a God-centered man, and so you can use it in many facets: God, source, universe, whatever you want to use, but for someone that does not have a father, they literally can create a relationship with the Father God. And I don't actually, to me, what God is God is the mother and the father, mother nature and father sky. And so when you combine those two together, you find the healing through that. You can also look for mentors in lot like mentors that have those positive aspects of what you can see in a father. But the ultimate father figure is of unconditional love. And when you can harness that relationship with unconditional love and what a father does in those scenarios, that's when you can start to reparent yourself. And literally, I reparent myself through God the Father and God the Mother. Because
Mm,
God the Mother, through Mother Nature, that is the feminine, that is the holding, and then God the Father is the holding of space.
mm. That was a beautiful breakdown. And, all that to say, if you have a mother, I'm sorry, if you don't have your mother or you don't have your father around, it is possible to continue to heal those relationships. And if that's something that interests you, 10 out of 10, maybe recommend reaching out to Jared or reaching out to myself, or, finding something online, doing a little more research, because it is possible. And the first time I saw that it was possible was actually at the retreat that I met Jared at. Me and Jared met at a personal development retreat, which was how many years ago?
Oh gosh, I think it's like
Three.
maybe 3?
Yeah. Gosh, that's
This is
crazy.
wild.
So it was about 3 years ago. And to be honest, I had no idea what I was walking into, but it was a lot of healing and it was beautiful. And that was the first time I saw from an example that you can heal a relationship with your father, even, or your mother, even if they're not physically here.
Mm,
um the specific situation, not to get into it too deep, but it was someone representing and, like, physically, re I don't know if the word is called reenacting or playing as if he's the father,
yeah.
and she was allowing her inner child to like, I have the chills, wow.
Mm,
To just, like, she was, like, yelling at him, honestly. Like, that was
mhm,
her healing. Like, she was
mhm.
yelling at him. I have the full body chills. I don't know if you remember who
Oh, yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was letting her inner child, gosh, chills. I love this.
Yes!
I love it.
The chills are truth.
Chills are truth. But yeah, she was just letting herself express that her child wanted to. And so, yeah, that was the
That's
first time that I really saw a real life example.
I'd speak to that more is the elements of healing taking place are to be able to express and release the things that have been held by you as a child so that you can grow up. Like in that experience, she
Mm,
was expressing this anger and this frustration. Most likely it was because of all that repressed anger that she didn't get to express from her father to her father. So it was like creating a scenario like that she could relive it and actually get that catharsis that she needed to grow up.
yeah, it was such a beautiful experience. And so to kind of like to tie this all, to bring this to a conclusion, this specific topic is,
Yeah.
if you want to attract your soulmate and your life partner, you've got to heal and do the inner work yourself, and specifically heal any wound that you may or may not have from the mother or the father in your life. And to kind
Mm,
of circle back to the beginning, Jared, I didn't
yeah.
touch on this and I wanted to, is everyone has masculine and feminine energies inside of them. And I feel like that's something that not everyone fully understands or knows or has the awareness, right? Because if we don't know, it's just because we're not educated on it. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, society keeps the codes from us. So, Jared, could you
Yes.
just explain in like a couple sentences, super simple, as to why and how? Like an example that everyone has both, and you can tap into the masculine if you want, and you can tap into the feminine, and you don't have to just be one or the other.
Mm, mm. So could you restate that why and how? Yeah.
Why? Yeah, so I would love for you to just speak into and kind of educate the viewers and the listeners
Mhm.
that they can tap into both energies and why that can be their superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and you can both tap into those aspects and I feel can be your superpower. I mean, it's just like it's a way of life. So for instance, in the masculine realm, um, you are creating a business, or you're creating structure in your life, you've got goals, you've got a purpose. Because ultimately with the masculine energy, it's cutting forth, it's action, it's going towards the thing, creating the structure, creating that space to hold, and ultimately it has the vision that it's going towards. So if you can find any elements, like look at animals for instance, like, and look how they protect, and look how just different aspects of the masculine hold space. So I can, I feel like masculine, you could go on a whole podcast episode just on like the elements of that. Um, but I would say study, hmm, study positive role models that are coming from a place of safety, structure. They're coming from a place of unconditional love. And then for the feminine aspect, that comes from a place of creativity. Because like balancing that with the masculine and the creative, you've got that action oriented element, but then you can soften into the flow and creativity that is of life, that requires you to be more in like, okay, I'm gonna like create this structure, but now I'm going to flow inside it. I'm going to, maybe it is painting, but maybe it is like uh, um, ideas and contemplation. Study nature. Just study nature. Study the way plants grow. And
When you
then
nurture it, meaning when you feed it water, it's going to grow. If you stop nurturing your plant, if you stop your feminine energy, the plant's not going to grow.
exactly. It's I appreciate you saying that, because ultimately I was like thinking of different ways of how to talk about masculinity. I'm like, you just study nature. It's like it's really
Yeah.
quite simple.
And
I think we really love to complicate things where it's like, oh, I need to get a business and get seven-figure business and da 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 da. That'll all happen. But when you can study where all of that came from,
study and understand it, because if
yeah,
you don't understand it, then you're going to you could create a seven-figure business, but you might burn out. The plant might
yes,
die. The plant
yes,
might die because all it's focusing on is growing and it's not focusing on watering the roots. For example, you're only focusing on growing your business, but you're not focusing on getting your hair done, your nails done, dating, your basic essential needs, resting, playing, having fun, painting, singing. People think we just have to work hard and we just have to work fucking hard.
yeah. Amen. Amen to that. I feel like
That,
you really encapsulated that well.
yeah, that just came through. Just like I'm just picturing, like, because a plant could grow, but if it stops getting water, it's going to take longer to grow and it's going to be forced. It can feel forced to grow because it can also have sun on it, but it's not getting water. So it could be like confused AF and then it can
Yes.
die slash burnout.
I mean, I would speak to what I see on your page, Jess. Is it does have a beautiful structure, but I do hear you speak a lot about like taking slowing down,
Yeah.
taking time, and
Hmm.
um, that's hard for the conditioned man. Is like, oh, slow down, take your time. I'm like, dude, so much more stuff is gonna happen for you if you slow down.
But and to the woman point, I actually saw this girl's post. I was like, wow, I really want to like talk into this. There's some women that are saying, don't listen to them telling you to slow down, girls. You can work hard, like keep going in the gym, keep going. Like they want me to slow down. Fuck no. And so, like, to each their own, everyone's truth is their truth. But if you don't slow down, energy and motion stays in motion until it's forced to slow down. So something is going to force you to slow down. Maybe you're going to break a bone, not putting that on you, but something's going to happen to force you to slow down if you don't intentionally choose to slow down. Because
Yes.
the universe is made up of something that I love to talk about, which is the law of polarity, meaning you can't have light without dark. You can't have feminine without masculine. You can't have yin without yang. Um, if you remember cat dog, you can't have a cat without dog.
That's
And
good.
it's
I
like
remember that dog.
you can't have a baby without a man and a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the sperm and everything. Um, and so the reason why I say that is because if you just keep going by law of the universe, something's going to ask you to slow down. So wouldn't you rather choose to slow down? Be like, choose to go on vacation, choose to go to the beach, choose to just sit in your bed and not do anything for a day. You don't have to live this. You don't have to go to the Bahamas to slow down. You could slow down in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's many ways. If you don't have the financial means, that's okay. There's free nature right outside. Go outside.
Yep. Nature's not in a rush.
No, no.
It's so and it's like and it will sprout like the plant that gets watered and fed. It's like, when are you gonna grow? When are you gonna grow? It's gonna grow when it's ready. And if you force that shit, it's gonna, yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna you're gonna have a rotted plant.
great point. So I remember when I first bought my own plants, I was overwatering them like fucking
Come on,
crazy.
grow.
And so thinking of like feminine and masculine energy, that's me staying in my feminine. If I continue to only stay in my feminine, I'm not gonna hit the goals that I want to hit, because hitting my goals means I have to take action, which means I have to embody my masculine energy. But
Yes.
if I'm just being in my feminine, if I'm just sitting on the beach 7 days a week and I'm waiting for the business to come to me, or I'm waiting for things to happen,
Yeah.
that's like having an analogy I also love to use is driving a car.
Mm.
You need a masculine energy and a feminine energy. I'm sorry. Driving a car, you have two people, one driver, one passenger. Like that's the situation we're going to talk about right now. The driver is the masculine and the passenger is the passenger princess, the feminine.
Hmm.
If you have the masculine driving and the feminine passenger, the car is going to drive perfectly.
Hmm.
If you have a masculine driver and a masculine passenger,
I could
Jared,
speak
what are
to
some
that.
examples?
I could speak to that actually.
Go
I heard
ahead. Go
that
ahead.
pretty recently. It's like you have a masculine driver, like, and I'm driving the way that I drive, and then all of a sudden I'm like, can you not do can you not do that way, or can you actually don't do that this way, and da 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 da. And it's a constant thing where it's like you've got this masculine energy that's telling you to do, and then you're doing, but you're doing it your way. You're gonna have magnets that are just gonna like, and it's gonna cause an argument, or which I did because I'm gonna blow smoke up my ass, but because I am a Tai Chi master in polarity, uh, or you'll soften into your feminine because you are understanding that to be able to create the polarity that is necessary. Because I that was the partnership where I understood this won't last unless she softens,
Yeah.
because I'm wanting to be in my masculine. So what ultimately ended up happening in that moment, it was like dish, 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 dish. And I just decided, you know what, babe, I'm going to listen to everything you're saying, and I'm going to do exactly what you're saying. And I'm going to follow exactly what you tell me to do. And
AKA you're
in
getting in your
that,
feminine.
I'm getting into my feminine, and then now I'm back in my masculine. And I basically listened to everything that she said, done it, and now we're back on course. That is something that a man can get So ultimately, he's going to want to be in his masculine, but sometimes he's going to deal with people that don't want to drop in their feminine. And then that's not the
Yeah.
relationship you want to be in, if
Yeah.
that's what you want.
And there's so many examples we could talk about. But like for me, for example, like I grew up my whole life, majority in my masculine. And then I learned about this. And now I've learned how to be more in my feminine. But
Mhm.
I will say, like, now I'm more of a balance. I have much more of a balance. And I can say that confidently. Thank God. I'm so happy because it feels so good to be able to like trust a man and receive and be feminine, even if I'm not with a man, like be feminine and like not have to work 7 days a week. Like trust that I could just work like 4 or 5 days a week if I want.
Yeah.
Um, but there are a lot of women in this world who by choice are choosing to be more in their masculine or feel like they have to, like they have a business and business can require masculine. And like we mentioned before, if you give it more nurturing and more feminine, watch that business grow.
Yeah.
I don't know the intention where that was going, but the next thing that I wanted to say was I dated a male. I don't want to say a man because he wasn't a man.
Hey, you
I'm
dated a
not,
boy?
yeah, a boy. Okay. I dated a boy and not like making fun of him, just like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was a boy.
This is just
Um,
elements. He might have been a man in some elements of his life.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I dated overall a boy, and by surface level looks on the outside, he looked masculine.
Mm.
He had tattoos, he was strong, he went to the gym. He looked masculine. And so we started dating, and holy cow, was he so feminine. And it worked for me at the time because I was so masculine. But then halfway through the relationship, I was like, why the F am I paying for everything? Why am I always driving? Why does he owe me money? Why and and he's not doing anything to like I was just fully masculine. It's not like he was, coming home from work and studying to become XYZ. He
Yeah.
was sitting on the couch playing the video games. So
Yeah.
it's not like I was, you know, I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it went from that to that. And man, I learned a lot from that relationship.
Yeah.
And I was so in my masculine and he was so in his feminine. And it just didn't work for me. In the beginning, it did. But then
Yeah.
I grew and I learned what I truly, truly desire. Because for me, sometimes I have to go through things to understand what I don't want. And if you're anything like me, maybe you have a similar experience.
Well, I love that, Jess, and I think that the beautiful thing about being in a relationship is if you're looking to grow, if that's where you're at, if you're in a growth mindset and you're in a relationship and you're in a growth mindset, you're going to learn no matter what it is you want. So if you desire to be in feminine in a masculine relationship, you're going to need to go through that process to learn it. That's just a part of the healing process.
Yeah, they say relationships are the biggest way to grow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's your dojo. It's
Mm,
the my most recent relationship that I was in um was the most healing relationship I've ever been in. And it was so powerful. But it was so powerful because I was coming in a space with my main goal was to be of unconditional love. And if
mm,
I wasn't, I like that was where I got to play that dance. But in the end, because I went that way, ultimately we're not together anymore, but we had the most healing, which has just made me into a more safe masculine, a more embodied man because of the woman.
yeah.
The woman, like a powerful man cannot be powerful without the woman.
Amen. Amen. It
And I'm
takes a
not just, I'm not, and for the men who are listening, if they are listening, I'm not just saying that. That's just how it is.
yeah. A powerful man can only get to certain levels by himself. And when he adds a powerful woman into the relationship,
Yo, you got fire relationship. That's like you get. That's why they call them power couples.
power couples. And it's like, stop looking for your other half. Look for your
Yes.
other hole. Look for your other hole so you can make an infinity symbol and build an
Amen.
empire
I like that.
and not just make one hole.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about,
Mhm.
and it kind of slipped out of my awareness. Mm, this might be the part where I edit this out. There was one more. Or I'll just keep it in. I mean, if y'all are still listening, y'all are still
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
it's
We'll
been
fix
40, it's been what, 40 minutes.
yeah,
Um, I don't know, let me throw it over to you, Jared.
yeah.
Is there anything else that's like deeply, deeply on your heart about the masculine and feminine that you want to share? If not, we can
Yeah.
definitely dive into like how we met.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that is coming through, um, it is actually to reiterate to both man and the woman. Um, but I know there's a lot of women. You have a larger women audience, and just to speak to this is that I can't stress this enough. And this truly, in my eyes, is what is going to bring peace to this world. Ultimately,
Mm,
to heal to heal your masculine wound.
mm,
Same thing with the man, to heal your feminine wound and to feel like to heal both aspects in yourself, masculine and feminine. And what that means is healing your relationship with your mother and father. Whatever you need to do to get to that place,
yeah.
whether it be therapy, whether it be, Jess or me, like whatever it is to help you heal that is ultimately what's going to give you the relationship that you want.
Yeah, that was a great way to bring that to an end. And one of my other favorite analogies is, or this is considered a metaphor, you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. And so that's why having a coach or having a therapist or, having a mentor to talk to is so powerful.
Amen. 100%.
Michael Jordan isn't where he is without coaches.
Hey, that's truth.
Yeah. Bing. And so we touched on a little bit earlier how we met.
Yes.
Um, do you want to talk and say anything else about how we
Yeah.
met or
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just cut to the core of it is that something that Jess said to me, and I felt this deeply, is that it felt like I was her brother. Um,
Yes.
and I felt that energy as like looking to her as like a sister. Um, and I think ever since that first moment that we met, which was at this retreat 3 years ago, from there it was an element of we didn't like hang out a lot. We conversed here and there, but we went on our own paths. We took our own journeys because we both not necessarily like we had similar things that were going on in our lives, but in different aspects. And what brought Jess and I together is to heal our aspects of empowering ourselves to
Mm,
feel it literally our power to heal our power of how we see ourselves.
yeah.
And so what ultimately happened is we went on different paths and then we met back at the aspect where we took our power back.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it. Mm, yeah. No words.
Yeah. Yeah,
No
it's just
words, no
it's
words.
ultimately
We
we went through
yeah.
so much healing. Yeah, we went
Yeah, yeah. And Jared was definitely one of the first men that I intentionally allowed in my life, knowing that it was a safe masculine. Because at the time I was like, I could be friends with with a man and he's not going to like try anything and he's not going to be unsafe.
mm.
And so that was really hard for me, but that definitely healed some parts of me that I was like, wow, let me just try it. And it was great. You
Yeah,
know,
I love that you said that because yes, you can be friends with a woman, but it takes a lot. I personally feel it takes a lot of healing to get to that place because when you know uh what it is that you want in life, you can create that safe relationship with another woman that is a friendship, and it helps heal them as well because then, vice versa, you get to this place where it's like, oh, men aren't just all want sex. That was a lot of the things that women like in relationships with me where I was like, I didn't want sex. Like that was an act because of just being raised just a God, like loving God and being raised in religion and da 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 da. But like I think I got ground rules from religion of wanting to be if wanting to be with someone like in marriage. And I think there was an aspect of that that translated into friendships with women where it's like if I don't see you as a person that I want to be with romantically, then I know in my soul, like, oh, she can be my friend. That is taking your power back. That's
mm,
your power when you
mhm.
can be like, yeah, I'd love to be your friend and not do anything shicey and not be shady about it.
Yeah, not have, the wrong intentions or be manipulative or things like that. So it's like, can you be friends with an ex if you have healed certain parts of you? I believe you can.
And I would even go as far as to say, so when with the word X, like I've started using the word former partner because this X is like, like no more. But
I love
what
that.
I would just be a reframe of looking at if you want to be friends with your former partner.
That's nicer.
Yeah, if you want to be friends with them, it needs to be this aspect where do you see yourself growing with this person? And this is with any friend.
Hmm.
You see yourself growing with this person. Are you leveling up? Then heck yeah, like be friends
Yeah.
with them. But if you have a former partner and you're finding that they're taking you down, why?
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
would you even do that to yourself?
Yeah. Don't self sabotage yourself. Be real with yourself. And that's a truth that you have. You can listen to your body, you can reflect, you can journal on it. And just, your body keeps the score. Your body holds all the answers. So listen to your body. Your body will tell you. But
Amen.
before we bring this to an end, I love to finish off with a pretty powerful question. And that is if you could go back and tell yourself something 10 years ago that you wish you knew, what would it be?
Ooh, if there
One
was
thing.
one thing I could tell myself 10 years ago, you said?
10 years or before you had a huge life-changing moment in your life. Like if that was 5 years ago, that's 5 years ago. Whatever you can connect to.
Hmm. Keep going in unconditional love, brother. You're gonna be just fine.
Mm,
It's really like that is all I can think of because that's
yeah.
the only path that I've ever focused on. And there has been so many moments where I've been so scared and so depressed and so low in my past. And if I could tell myself anything, like just keep focusing on that unconditional love and everything will be okay.
Love is the answer. Love is the answer. Yeah. Well, Jared, thank you so much for coming on my podcast officially as the first remote podcast that I have on my podcast.
Let's go.
It was
Let's
such an
go.
honor. I'm so grateful. And where can everyone find you in the world if they're interested in connecting with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website at jared-thompson.com. That's where all my bookings are if you want to work with me. You can also go to my Instagram. It's jared.thompson.ignite. And then I just started a podcast, which is not it's not fully together just yet, but I've just begun it on YouTube. It's called The Way Spiritual Dojo on YouTube.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is a new something new I'm creating where it's not only going to be a podcast, but it's going to be formed into um, a space geared more towards helping men heal their feminine wound, and
Ooh.
it's that's all I'll share. Also, gosh, there's so many different things. Also, liberate your wild on Instagram. So it's liberate underscore your underscore wild. Um, this is it's an immersive performance experience where we bring audiences into a performance experience that helps to awaken their primal nature through dance. And so this is being formulated into something very big, and yeah, working on the next event in Austin, Texas right now. So that's my
Oh,
Instagram.
yes. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave it a rating and review, share it with a friend, and follow us on Instagram. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.